are starting a new series. If you didn't see the title on the top, we are starting with Perimeter the Basics. So our series name is Area and Perimeter. Today we are dealing with perimeter only. Now I want you to focus in on perimeter first, and next week we will look at area. I just think it's a little bit easier to focus on one at a time, um, just so that you really get into it without mixing it up with area, because it's very easy to get the rules mixed and to do the wrong thing. So I really want to focus in on perimeter, and then next week we will do area. And then, Demi, I wanted to get back to you. I know I've sort of started my lesson, but Demi, I wanted to get back to you about the quiz stuff. If you guys have a question about the quiz, or you don't understand how I got to one of the answers in the quiz, what you guys can do is you can send me an email at my MathsLive email. It is, and I will show you guys my email now, or I'll put it in the chat now. It is Simone at mathslive.co.za. So if you guys want some help on the quiz in terms of you don't understand how this is the answer, send me an email with the question and I will try and help you guys out. Immediately, yes, do you have a question?
No, ma'am. I just want to help answer example one.
Okay, good.
When we
I'm
get
not
to it.
starting yet with the answer, but when I do, and actually I'll ask you for help with the second one because I want to do the first one. Itandile, did you have a question?
No, ma'am. I just wanted to ask,
Mhm.
if you don't join the Math Live bootcamp, is it fine for not to join it? Because, ma'am, the time we're going to be doing the bootcamp, I'm already done with exams.
So you're asking me, is it fine if?
If I don't join the bootcamp, because I'm done writing exams on the 21st of October.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy, Itandile. But no, that's perfectly fine if you don't join the boot camps. Unfortunately, because Man's Life is structured the way it is, we couldn't have our dates, set on time for everybody because everybody has different schedules. So if you're done writing, we are so, so sorry. But our classes were more than enough to get you through. I'm sure Itandile, as well as your own maths teachers help. So I hope your exams went well though, but it's perfectly okay for you not to join the boot camp.
Yes, ma'am. I'm writing next week, Friday, and next week, Monday, my paper one and paper.
Okay, good luck and let me oh goodness gracious. Let me know how it goes.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. Shady, we have another hand.
Ma'am, will the boot camp be recorded?
Yes, it will be recorded, but you'll only the people who have signed up for the bootcamp will get access to that recording.
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
Okay, so we're looking now at what is perimeter. I want you guys to sort of try and give me your definition, your idea of what perimeter is. Let me see what you guys have to say. Um, I see hands. I'm not sure if you guys want to answer this. Immediately, do you want to answer?
Yes, ma'am. So
Mm-hmm.
perimeter is the distance on the outside of the shape.
Oh my gosh, beautiful. So perimeter is the distance around, and forgive my handwriting. I haven't written on here in a long time. The distance around the outside of, and very important that it's around the outside of a 2D shape. Okay, you cannot have really something like perimeter of a 3D shape. It doesn't really work like that. Fine, Kuli, that's okay. Um, I'm like so concerned right now. I don't know if you guys can hear the thunder by me, but it's crazy.
Same, ma'am. It's also crazy here.
Crazy. Uma, you've been very quiet today. Are you okay? Good. It's hot. Is that crazy? It is still hot where I am though. Well, it was hot earlier today, but right now it's raining like crazy. Anywho, sorry, I got so distracted by the thunder. Back to our lesson. Perimeter is the distance around the outside of a 2D shape. So if I have a shape, perimeter is literally measuring the distance around the outside. So I always like to think of it as if I had a farm, perimeter is basically what I would look at if I wanted to build a fence around my farm. Okay, that is basically what perimeter is. Perimeter is building a fence outside your farm. It's building a fence around your shape. And so if we look at an example, um, I want you guys to first understand that yes, there are some formulas for perimeter, but I want you guys to be very aware that I will never encourage you guys to memorize formulas for area and perimeter. What I will encourage you guys to do is to understand the concept. Because I'm sure you guys have always gotten a question where they're testing you on area and perimeter, but all of a sudden the shape doesn't have the same sides it usually does, and the formula doesn't work, or you need to change the formula a little bit to suit the shape they've given you, or something is different. And so, if you don't remember your formula, or if you don't understand the formula, it's not going to help you and you're going to be stuck. But if you understand how perimeter works, you don't have to memorize formulas. I never memorized perimeter or area formulas when I was in school. All I did was I understood how area and perimeter worked. And from there, you can sort of come to a logical conclusion of, okay, this is sort of going to be what I have to add to get the perimeter. So here we're looking at a rectangle. So we have our rectangle over here in example 1, and it's asking us to determine the perimeter of this rectangle. Now, another thing super important for you guys to know, area and perimeter, um, it's highly dependent. They are highly dependent, dependent on your quadrilateral properties. Okay, because I know I'm trying to build a fence around my farm over here. So I know I have to have 5 centimeters of fencing over here, and then I have to have 15 centimeters of fencing on this side. But now, how do I know how many centimeters of fencing to have on this side and how many centimeters of fencing to have on this side? Can any of you guys tell me, how do I know? Let me take hands. Shady, yes.
Ma'am, because in a quad, equal, the sides opposite each other are equal.
Right. So I want you to be so careful because it's not in a quad. Remember, we have multiple different types of quads. What specific quad is this over here?
A rectangle.
Right. So it's correct to say in a rectangle. The properties of our rectangle is that opposite sides are equal in length. So, Shady, while you are here, tell me, what is the length of this side going to be?
15 centimeters.
Beautiful. And what is the length of this side going to be?
5 centimeters.
5 centimeters. Thank you very much for your help. Now, when I'm looking at this fencing thing, it means I need another 5 centimeters of fence and another 15 centimeters. So all you have to say is your perimeter is equals to 15 plus 5 plus 15 plus 5, which gives me 40 centimeters. Okay, so that is that. Now, there is a formula to calculate the perimeter of a rectangle, and it is perimeter is equal to the sum of your length plus your breadth plus your length again plus your breadth, because remember we have two sides that are going to be equal there and another two that are going to be equal. Now if you think about it, it's length plus breadth plus length plus breadth. Oh jeez, let's all ignore what I just said. I'm taking a breath. I'm carrying on. I got a hand. Let me take my hand. Ooh, whose hand just went up? Sherry, did your hand go up now? Or
Sorry, ma'am, it's from answering the previous question.
okay, no stress. I keep hearing these sounds of hands, but I never know who put up their hand, or maybe somebody put their hand down. Anyways, so what we're gonna do is we can simplify this. I have breadth and I have breadth over here. So I can simplify that to 2 breadth. And I have length and I have length over here. So I can simplify that to 2 length as well. So really it's 2 length plus 2 breadth. And I can simplify this even more and say it's 2 times my length plus my breadth. If you don't know, I just did factorization over here. If you don't know how to do factorization, I don't want you to worry too much about it. But yeah, for now, this is our formula. So you can either keep it as 2 length plus 2 breadth, or you can use 2 open brackets length plus breadth. Okay. So are we all happy with finding the perimeter of a rectangle using just our general knowledge and a formula? Great. Let us move on. Okay. We now have a little bit more difficult questions on the board. I do know there are hands. Let me check if you guys still want to help me. Itandile, do you still want to? Okay, Imise, you were first. I will give you that. So, Imise, do you want to help me with B?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. What do you think we're doing here?
I think we first have to figure out the get the length of the hypotenuse, ma'am.
Right, because if we were doing perimeter, remember to get perimeter, I'd have to build a fence. So I know the length of this fence, I know the length of this fence, but I don't know the length of this. So I'm not going to be able to find the perimeter until I find the length of this line over here. So I can't do perimeter just yet. What do I have to do?
We have to use Pythagoras, ma'am.
Right. So tell me what you're going to do.
We're gonna say eight centimeters squared
Mm-hmm.
plus wait
Mm-hmm.
yes plus 6 centimeters squared
Mm-hmm.
equal to r rq squared.
Beautiful.
So then it's gonna be equals to 64 plus 36,
Mm-hmm.
which is then going to be can I just calculate them?
Sure.
It's gonna be 100, which is
Great.
equal to rq squared.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have to square root it. So then 10 is equal to rq.
So we square root both sides. My square and my square root cancels out. I get 10 is equals to RQ. Are we done with finding our missing length?
Yes, ma'am.
No.
Oh, 10 centimeters, ma'am.
Okay, we're still not done.
And then, so now we're gonna Pythagoras, ma'am.
Thank you. We're not doing geometry anymore, but Pythagoras is part of geometry. And so the minute we use geometry, even if we're doing algebra and we use geometry, you must have your reason. Whenever you use Pythagoras, you must have your reason. You are saying 8 centimeters plus 6 centimeters squared is equals to RQ squared because of the rule of Pythagoras. If you guys were not here when we did our Pythagoras series, all that happens is that when we have a right angle triangle, we are able to use Pythagoras to calculate a missing side. And the rule of Pythagoras tells us that x squared plus y squared is equals to r squared, or as some people know it, a squared plus b squared is equals to c squared. The variables don't matter, but what does matter is that this side over here has to be our hypotenuse. Now, remember, if you weren't here, you obviously don't know what a hypotenuse is, but your hypotenuse is the side that is opposite your right angle. And so what Emilia did is she said, this line is our hypotenuse and we don't know the length of it. So according to Pythagoras, if I square my other two sides and add them together, they will give me my other side squared. And then we just use the rules of equations to solve for our unknown side. So now we have this unknown side. Now we know that this side is 10 centimeters. What now?
So ma'am, then we're gonna calculate the perimeter of a triangle,
Mhm.
which is gonna be side plus side plus side,
Beautiful.
which is then gonna be 10 centimeters plus 8 centimeters plus 6 centimeters, which is then
Mhm.
equal to 24 centimeters.
Beautiful. And are we done?
Yes, ma'am.
Beautiful. Correct. We are done. Okay.
Thank you,
So
ma'am.
thank you for answering, Image. What we did here now was, remember, we were building our fence. We said, okay, well, I need to get 6 centimeters of fencing here, 10 centimeters here, and 8 centimeters here. So all together, what did I need to get? I needed to get 24 centimeters. And the formula for perimeter of a triangle is side plus side plus side. Remember, in a triangle, there's no saying whether we have two sides that are the same length, whether all sides are the same length, we don't know. So when we're using a triangle, we just use the formula side plus side plus side. Okay. Over here now we have what looks to be a kite. My S looks like a 5. Is it this first one? I'm going to erase my highlighter. Let me change that. Yes. I don't know how to make it more S-like, but there you go. So we have here what looks like a kite. Obviously, we don't know the full properties of this shape, so we are going to assume it's a kite. And they've only given us the length of two sides, and we have to calculate the perimeter. Now, I do know I have hands, so I'm going to take one of them. Itandile, do you want to answer?
Ma'am,
Yes. Do you want to answer?
I want to try, ma'am, but then I'm not too sure how I'm going to answer it.
Okay. Tell me what you're thinking.
Ma'am, what I'm thinking is that since we have two lines and on the on a line, ma'am, on the bottom of 12, I'm thinking that, ma'am, it's the same thing. So I was thinking it was 12 centimeters.
And you're
And I was
correct in
thinking,
doing that.
and
Sorry,
I'm,
Infantilia, I just want to tell everybody how you came to that conclusion. So, guys, whenever we're dealing with shapes, our teachers, our examiners can always show us that lines are equal in length by giving us these two little lines on a
It's
line.
okay. I understand.
So, Itandile, I'm gonna mute you super quickly. Sorry. There we go. So, what we do is they give us these two little notches. So they give two notches to show you that lines are the same. Now, what I want you to see is it doesn't always have to be two. As long as a line is marked with the same amount of notches, you can assume that those lines are equal. So here, they showed us that these two lines are equal, but they notched these lines with two notches because they didn't want us to think that this line was equal to this line. So I hope that makes sense to you guys. If there were other lines in this diagram and I wanted to show you that those two lines were equal in length, I would have gone and notched it 3 times. Are we all happy and understand our equal lines notches? Liacho is back. Uma is saying add all of them up. 100%. That's what we're going to do. So Itandile, come back for me. Tell me, Itandile, if the side is 5 centimeters, what is the length of this side?
Ma'am, that side is also 5 centimeters.
It's also going to be 5. Sorry, Itandile. Kia, no. When you're doing perimeter, you don't have to give a reason. Perimeter is not part of geometry as such, so there are no reasons. But if you use something that we learned in geometry to help you solve an area or perimeter question, then you must give a reason. Cool. Itandile, back to you.
So, ma'am, I was thinking we're gonna do perimeters equals to side plus side plus side plus side.
Mm-hmm.
And then, ma'am, I was thinking of perimeter is equals to 12 plus 5 plus 12 plus 5.
Mm-hmm. What's the answer to that?
34, ma'am. Centimeters.
Thank you very much. Units are super important when it comes to area and perimeter. And I want you guys to see when we're doing perimeter, our units stay the same. We don't all of a sudden have squared units or anything like that. It is the same unit. So if we were dealing with centimeters, it is just going to be in centimeters. Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to see. Itandile, please can you do me a favor and mute yourself? I can't seem to do it myself.
Yeah.
There we go. Thank you. Cool. So that is that one. We have a new set of questions. I still have hands. If you don't want to answer, now's your chance to put them down. Itandile just answered immediately. You did get a turn. So Unati, do you want to answer? Nope. Layla, do you want to answer?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Great stuff. So we're looking at D. Tell me, what are you thinking? Read the question for me and tell me what you're thinking.
The perimeter of a square is 32 centimeters. Determine the value of y and the length of the sides of the square.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking since the perimeter is already given us, it's P equals side plus side plus side plus side. 4 sides.
Right. So let me just draw the square super quickly. That looks kind of squarish. There. Okay. So you're right in saying that the area, or not area, the perimeter of our square would be side plus side plus side plus side. But in this case, they've told us determine the value of y, the length
Yep.
of the side. So are you okay, Layla, if we
With
go and we say,
yep.
there we go, y I don't know what I just said. Y plus Y plus Y plus Y. So this is really how we would have calculated our perimeter. We would
Okay,
have
ma'am.
gone Y plus Y plus Y plus Y. How did we know they were all Y?
Because of the sides of a square are all equal.
Beautiful. So that's part of our quadrilateral properties. A square, in a square, all of our sides are equal. So because they've told us that one side is equal to Y, we can assume all the other sides are also going to be equal to Y. Okay, Leila, what are you thinking next?
Okay, now we replace P with 32
Right.
we,
Why are we doing that?
because it's given to us.
Right. It is given to us. They told us the perimeter is 32 centimeters. Okay.
Then I said 32 equals to 4 y's.
Beautiful. So y plus y plus y plus y actually just gives me 4y.
Then I used what's it called? Divided both of them by 4,
Mm-hmm.
which gave me 8
Mm-hmm.
equals to y.
8 centimeters equals to y. And we are done. That was it, Leila. You did that very, very well. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh gosh, I just want to move this, please. Just let me. Okay. Um, I don't know where I missed this line from. No. Okay. So that was that. Let me know with some reactions. Are we all happy with how we got to this answer? Does it make sense? So, guys, when we're dealing with perimeter, sometimes they give us the perimeter and they tell us what shape it is and they give us some sides, and you have to work backwards to find one of the unknowns. Remember, whenever there's a formula for something, you only have to have one unknown and you can solve for it. So, as long as you're given all of the other values in the formula, you can solve for the unknown. So I'm just looking at what Liaho is saying. Perimeter is 32 times the value of y. And Liaho is reading the question. Perimeter of the square is given by the formula. Yes, correct. Liaho, I don't trust that this response is not AI generated.
It's not, ma'am. It's not, ma'am. That's usually my writing. That's what they know in my school. Ma'am, I'm serious.
Okay, Liaho, I believe you.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for your response. Umar, do you want to do the next one?
Yes, ma'am.
Cool. Read the question for me. Tell me what you're thinking.
The perimeter of a rectangle is 24 centimeters. The length of the rectangle is double the width of the rectangle. Determine the length and the width.
Okay. What are you thinking?
So first we have to write the formula. P is equals to L plus 2B.
Okay, I'm gonna do that now. So we know the formula for our rectangle is that P is equals to 2 times our length plus 2 times our breadth. That's correct.
So we already got the perimeter, so we put that as 24.
So we know that they said the perimeter is 24 centimeters, so we substitute.
Is equals to 2L plus 2B.
Mm-hmm.
If I do this, do you have to do you have to divide by 2 first? And yeah, I feel no.
So if we divide it by 2, we'd be left with 12 is equals to L plus B. So we still
Yeah.
have L plus B. So that's not actually going to help us right now. We have 2 unknowns here, Uma. So we need to get rid of one of our unknowns. How do you think we're going to do that?
We make no. you can we can take out. Oh wait, the length of the rectangle is double the width. So that we can take out the two in the width.
Okay, so let's look at this, Uma. They're telling us that the length of the rectangle, so we have length over here. Do you agree?
Yes.
The length of the rectangle is double the width of the rectangle. So do you agree that the width is actually going to be half of your length?
Yes.
But I feel like it's going to be difficult to work with a half of a length. So let's do it the other way. Let's say we have the width of our rectangle, but my length is double my width. So do you see? I still have length and breadth, but I've now written my length in terms of the width because I know my length is double the width. Do you see that, Uma?
Yes, ma'am.
So I want you to tell me now, how are we going to write this formula? 24 centimeters is equal to,
2W plus W,
mhm.
and then 24 is equals to
So
2W.
be careful. It's not just 2W plus W. If you've done that, you've only added this side plus this side. You have to go and you have to add the other side and the other side. Or if you wanted to use the formula, you were going to go, it's going to be 2 times your length, and your length is 2 times your width, plus 2 times your width. Do you see that?
Yes, ma'am.
So which way makes you more comfortable, adding them all up or doing this?
Doing this.
Are you sure? That sounded so hesitant.
No.
Doing this.
Yeah.
Okay, now what?
So on the right hand side, we have to do the. I forgot.
Distribution.
Yeah, distribution.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be 4W plus 2W.
Mm-hmm.
And now when you add up 4 plus 2, you're going to get 6W.
Mm-hmm.
So now you can divide by 6,
Mm-hmm.
and you're going to get 4.
Beautiful. So 4 centimeters is equals to my width. Now, Uma, are we done with this question?
No, because you have to get the length. The length
Mm-hmm.
is double the width, so you're going to say L is equals to 2W, and L is equals to 4. 2 times 4, L is equals to 8 centimeters.
Beautiful. Now we are done. I know this was a lot, you guys. Thank you, Uma, for answering. Let me know, are there questions on this? I'm sure there must be questions. Okay, I just saw a hand go up. Let me ask everybody. Itandile, did you have a question?
Yes, ma'am, I did. Ma'am, what's the width? I got confused because I only know a length times a breadth only, or a length plus a breadth,
Oh, okay,
not a
okay, okay.
length times a
I
width.
understand. So another word for breadth is width.
Okay,
So in other
okay,
words, they said the length of the rectangle is double the breadth of the rectangle.
okay. Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
So if you guys didn't know, breadth is the same thing as width. They mean the same thing. Okay, let me see what is happening in chat. If there's two hidden values, it's best that we convert them into the same hidden value. Yes, beautiful. We can't work with two unknowns. So if they've given you information to write them in terms of the same unknown, then it's better to do that, where you have them all now with one unknown variable, and then we can solve. So that's that. Same question for Bree. Yes. So breadth is the same thing as width. And then Unati, did you have a question?
Ma'am, I didn't understand anything from 24 centimeters equals to 4 width plus 2 width.
Okay, cool. So everything from here. So you understood the step.
I understood 24 centimeters equals to 2. The top one, basically the one above
So
it.
this one.
Yes.
Okay. So what we did here was the only thing that changed in this step at the bottom is we multiplied out our brackets. So 2 times 2w gives us 4w. Do you see that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so that's how we got this step. You happy with that?
Yes, ma'am.
Then what we did here was we were trying to simplify. Remember, whenever you have equations, the objective of an equation is to solve for your unknown. When you are solving for your unknown, you want your unknown to be by itself on one side of your equation. Do you remember that?
Yes, ma'am.
Cool. So I can see here now I have these 4 width and 2 width, like it's too much for me. So I wanted to combine it. Whenever we have like terms, we can add them. And 4 width and 2 width are like terms. Do you understand why they are like terms?
Yes, ma'am.
Cool. So because they were like terms, we added them up and we got that 24 centimeters is actually equal to 6 times my width. Do you see that?
Yes, ma'am.
Then remember, we want to get our variable by itself. So how do I get rid of the 6 that is attached to my width?
You divide.
We divide. So that's what we did here. We divided by the 6 so that this multiplication by 6 and my division by 6 would cancel out and I'd be left with my width. And then 24 divided by 6. Remember, if we divide one side, we have to divide the other side. So 24 divided by 6 gave us 4. You with me there?
Yes, ma'am.
Cool. Now we know what the actual centimeter value of our width is. I want to say the length of our width, but that's confusing. So now we know how many centimeters our width is. You with me there?
Yes, ma'am.
But they didn't just ask me to determine the width or the breadth. They asked me to determine the length as well. And so what we said here is that we've said that our length is double our width. So our length is equals to 2 times our width. Do you see that?
Yes, ma'am.
Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Cool. And so what we did is now we've calculated what our width is. And so we substituted our width for 4. You with me there?
Yes, ma'am.
And then 2 times 4 is 8. And now we know that our length is 8 centimeters.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. I understand now.
Pleasure. Okay. Let's see if there's another hand. No. So into a brain break, I think we go. Emile's hand was so fast to shoot up. If you know Emile, you are welcome to answer one of them.
So, ma'am, the one on the right hand side, ma'am, is broken heart.
Beautiful, thank you. Let's see if our next person knows the next one. Itandili, do you know the next one?
Is it double vision, ma'am?
I think so. Yep. And guys, when I did this, after I did it, I realized I forgot the U over here, but let's just act like I spelled it correctly. Moving on. Thank you, Itandili. Cool. Unati and Liacho, your hands are up. If you guys know the answer, you are welcome to raise your hand.
Ma'am, this one, ma'am, I don't really know. Let me think about it.
Ma'am,
Mm-hmm.
is the first one under baked or half baked?
It is half baked.
Okay.
Good job, Unati. It's half baked because it's literally half of the word baked. Okay. Oh, no new hands. Emika, do you know the answer to the last one? Not standing on business, free.
Ma'am, so since there isn't an S, like the last S, I think it's unfinished business.
Oh, how did you get that? I did not
Because, like,
expect
there's no
that.
second S.
I didn't expect that. Normally, you guys are so stumped on these. I didn't expect you to get it at all, but well done, Imise.
Thank you, ma'am.
Um. Oh, I see. I've forgotten this name. Give me a second. I'll remember. Imanye. Imanye is back with us. Imanye, it's good to see you back. Who says half baked? No, Shady, a lot of people. Don't you guys start with me on this again. I think this is our last one. Sorry, guys. Well, sorry, not sorry, but you know. Yes, I think that is Liako that I had.
Yes, ma'am. Top secret, ma'am.
Oh wow, Liako, I'm proud of you. You got one. This
Thank you, ma'am.
one didn't have an answer. I didn't have time. So top secret, beautiful. Oh my gosh, so many hands. Um, oh, that's why I thought there were no raised hands, but I just closed it and I said there were no other hands. I'm so sorry, guys. Um, okay, Shady, I see your hand.
Ma'am, it's back door.
I think so. There you go, back door. Well done.
We are done just like that.
Yeah, just
Wow.
like that. We took
It,
like a good 3 minutes. Like, I think
it
that was
normally
enough.
takes long.
That yeah, ma'am. That was quite quick. Well, I
Yeah,
think we're all
guys,
getting it nicely.
we're
That's why.
nearing the end of our year. So, brain breaks can't take 10 minutes anymore. You know, it is what it is. So anyone who's never heard of Kingswood College in Grahamstown, just know that it's a pretty expensive school. Okay, I don't know what relevance of that is. Maybe I missed something immediately. Moving on. Okay, okay. We're moving on. I wanted to give you guys an extra minute. You had it. I gave it. Um, just because of time, I want us to move on to circles. Now, circles are super tricky because really in a circle, there's only like one side technically, and it's the side that goes all the way around. So when it comes to circles, we have to learn new terminology. Now, I see your hands, Imithle and Uma. I will take your hands once I've explained. Unless you guys have a question, then put it in the chat. Let me know. But now let's look at some terminology. When we talk about the perimeter of a circle, right, it's basically the fence around our circle. When we talk about the perimeter of a circle, we actually use a different word and we call it the circumference. Okay. So in a circle, we say the circumference of a circle. Okay. And now in a circle, there are two things that we need to know about to know how to calculate the circumference. Okay. We firstly need to know what pi is. Okay, now I'm not the best at drawing the pi symbol, but pi is basically just a mathematical number that equates to 3,142, if I'm not mistaken. Now, you don't have to memorize this because if you are allowed to use a calculator, all you have to do is, and I don't have my I do have my calculator. All you have to do is you'll see that there's a pi symbol in like that goldish color on the top of your times 10 to the power of x button. So on top of your scientific notation button, there's this little pi symbol. So all you have to do is put your calculator on, you're going to press shift, you're going to press that times 10 button, and it will show up as the symbol of pi. And I'm going to try and show you guys there. Probably can't see it, but there it is. And if you press equals to, it gives you what it is. So yes, it is 3,142. So we need to know what pi is. And the other thing is we need to know what a radius is. Now, in a circle, we have what we call the center of the circle. This, I think, is pretty self-explanatory. It's the point that's right in the middle of the circle. Now, when we have this point in the center, if I draw a line from the center of the circle right up until the edge of the circle, we get this line over here that they've told us is 4 centimeters. This is what we call a radius. So my radius is a line from the center. So from the center of your circle to the edge. We call that my radius. Now, there's also something called a diameter. A diameter is something like what we have at the bottom here. And that's a line that goes through the middle. So it's a line and it goes from one edge of the circle, from one edge to the other edge, to the other edge, and it goes through the center of the circle. Oh, goodness. And it goes through the center of the circle. Now, give me some reactions. Kia, I see your question. I just want to see, do you guys understand what a radius is and what a diameter is? I want you guys to make sure that you understand. So it's the line that halves the diameter. So yes, a radius is half of the diameter. If you look at what a radius is, it's a line from the edge, from the center to the edge. If you look at what a diameter is, it's really just two lines from the center to the edge, from the center to the edge. So on that note, our diameter is actually equal to 2 of my radii, by the way. One radius, many radii. So let me make a note here. We call it radii. Pi is confusing. I get it, Layla. It was also confusing to me. It's just a new concept that's being introduced. But all you have to know is that pi is just a mathematical number. They just didn't want to write out 3,142 the whole time, so they just made a symbol for it. Kia, yes, what's your question?
Ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
How are you, ma'am?
I'm good, and you?
I'm good. Ma'am, what does the 3,142 come from?
There's like a whole thing on how this number was derived, but I'm not going to go through it with you now. You can definitely Google it, Kia, but it's not important for you to know. What is important is just for you to know that pi is just a mathematical number that's equal to 3,142.
Okay.
Ma'am, is 3,142 actually pi? And then can you say that 3,1.2 is 27/7?
Yes, you can write pi as a fraction as well. Sometimes in a test, they'll tell you use pi as a fraction or use pi as 3,14. It depends on the question. If they don't tell you what to use it as, then you just put it as pi in your calculator. Make sense, Itandile?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Cool. Now, what you guys have to know now is that when we're calculating the circumference of our circle, my circumference is equals to 2 pi r, meaning 2 times pi times my radius. So let us calculate the circumference of this circle. Do you want to help me? Whose hand is up? Do you want to help me, Umar, calculating the circumference of this circle?
So it's equals to, ma'am. Yeah, I learned it. I did it pi times diameter because.
So that's also correct because remember, your diameter is 2 times your radius. So you just replace the 2 and the radius with diameter. So it's pi times your diameter. That's correct. In this case, though, we weren't given a diameter. But do you see how it's really the same thing, the two formulas?
And is it okay if I just said 3,14 in the calculator?
It is. Well, It depends. I don't want you to use the wrong numbers and then get your rounding incorrect. So it's always safer to use the actual pi symbol on your calculator.
Okay.
Zach, I'm not sure. Does somebody want to just type to Zach and tell him maybe to try leaving and joining again? But we're almost done with the lesson anyways. Sorry, Uma. Try again.
So I'm gonna say pi times 4 times 2,
Beautiful.
and that is gonna give me 25,13.
Right. So if we look at this, 4 times 2 is 8. So 8 times pi is 8 pi. And if we change that into a decimal, it is going to give us, what was that, Uma?
25,13.
1, 3. Beautiful. Thank you very much. And that is that. Hey guys, you guys can try C by yourselves. Remember, they've given you here your diameter, so you need to go and try and figure out your radius if you're using this formula, or you can just use this formula and say pi times your diameter. If you guys want to see our quiz podium, we have Tsepo, we have Demi, and we have Shady. So well done to you guys. I love seeing you guys doing my quiz and on the quiz podium. I'm glad you thought so, Miaho. Yes.
This week I didn't do your quiz. Ma'am, I didn't understand the work. But then, ma'am, maybe next time I'll try your quiz. Probably, ma'am.
Okay.
This week
You definitely can still go back and do the quiz, Itandile. Nothing is stopping you.
Ma'am, my hungriness is stopping me right now.
After supper, Itandile, the quiz is not running away, I promise.
I still have to study for creative arts, ma'am.
We don't do excuses here. Sorry, Itandile.
Okay, ma'am. At least I tried.
Bye, ma'am. Good night, ma'am.
Good night,
Good night.
Miaho.
Good
Itandile,
night.
just take 5 minutes.
Good
Okay.
night, ma'am.
Good night. I think that sounded like Demi. I don't know though.
Yes, ma'am. Good night, ma'am.
Demi, I have to tell you before you
Yes,
leave,
ma'am.
I'm so proud of you and your improvement. Like, wow, well done.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Pleasure.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye. Shady, you'll do better. That's okay. That is okay. You're still on the podium. Layla, yes. Bye, Kia. Sorry.
Ma'am, I'm not saying bye. I want to ask a question.
Sure. Let me just
Ma'am,
answer Layla quickly. Layla, yes, we do round off. Normally the question will tell you round off to 2 decimals. In this case, usually when you're not given any instruction, the safest bet is to round to 2 decimals. So yes, round to 2 decimals if there's no other instructions. Cool. Kia, yes.
Ma'am, can you please just go back up?
Sure. Where are we? Here to this?
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, when calculating, I got this number, but we took 25,13. Why?
So we
Instead
were
of, like,
rounding
all
off
the
to
numbers
2
that-
decimal. So sometimes, Kia, it's too much numbers just for us to go and write all of the decimals. So generally what we do is we round off to 2 decimal places, like what I was telling Layla. So you never want to write all of your decimals out. You always, and I see you put the answer in there. See, that was a lot of numbers. I'm sure that took you long to type, right?
I actually copied it, ma'am.
Okay. So it would have been a lot if you had typed it. So it's going to be too much for us to write out all of those decimals. So what we do in math is we don't write out all of the decimals, but we round off to the nearest 2 decimals is the general rule. Do you know how we do that?
No, ma'am, how do we do it?
Okay. So let's look at a number like 25,136. What we do is if we're rounding off to 2 decimal places, it means I want my answer to only have 2 decimal places. Do you understand that? Okay. So I only want my answer to have 2 decimal places when I'm rounding to 2 decimal places. So in order to round to 2 decimal places, you have to look at your third decimal place. Your third decimal place tells us a lot about how we round off. So what you want to ask yourself is the number 5 and above, or is it below 5? Which one is it? Is 6 5 and above, or is it below 5?
Ma'am, it's 5 and above.
It's 5 and above. So if your third decimal place is 5 and above, then what it wants to do is it wants to change your second decimal. And how does it change it? It just adds 1 to your second decimal. If it's below 5, then it sort of means do nothing. You just cut out the rest of your decimals and you just leave your last 2 decimals. So if you think about it, if it's 5 and above, it means, there's a lot. There's a lot going on. This decimal is very angry that it's being removed. So because it's angry, it's being removed. It wants to leave a mark on this one that's still going to stay. And because it wants to leave its mark, it's going to change it now to 25, 25,14. Do you see that?
Yes, ma'am.
But our number that we actually were dealing with was 25,1327. We wanted to round to 2 decimal places. When we want to round to 2 decimal places, you look at the third decimal place. My third decimal place was below 5. This means this is a very mellow decimal. It's fine. It's like, you're going to cut me off. It's fine. It does nothing. So all we do is we remove the other decimals and our answer stays as 25,13. You with me there?
Yes, ma'am. I understand a lot better now.